Hello and welcome back to the original Larry D's Food for Thought. Today we will be, of course, reading out the Old King James Bible. We'll be reading out the Old Testament and from the New Testament to the law and to the testimony. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, just like the Lord had it written in the 28th chapter of Isaiah. Okay. We also will be going over a few scriptures today concerning the title, What is Sin in the Eyes of the Lord and the Punishment of It? What is sin in the eyes of the Lord and the punishment of it? Okay. I'm going to share these scriptures with you right quick here. You can jot them down if you like. But yeah, I hear people say all the time, people say, oh, yeah, well, sin, that's smoking and drinking and dancing and carrying on. I said, oh, so no, the Bible don't support that. Okay. Because simply people have not read this Bible. They don't take the time. They want to go and do whatever they want to do. And they say, well, it's sin, but Lord came, he died on the cross and he did away with the law. We're not under the law. We're under grace now. Say, okay, there again, they have not read this book to understand, and they never heard of another law that was added because of sin. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna take a look at all of this and see if we can get a tad bit of understanding on it. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing these. We're gonna go ahead and get started with this, and we're gonna start this in First John, First John, the third chapter, and we're gonna read one verse here, and that's verse 4, and we're going to find out exactly what sin is according to the Bible in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, now, uh, First John, third chapter. Uh, oh, just a second. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We had a disturbance there for a second, but yeah, we're going to be reading First John, third chapter, fourth verse, and it reads, Whosoever committeth sin transgresses also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. What law? The commandments, the royal law. Okay? So you break God's law, you have committed sin. Okay? Now, take a closer look at it. Let's run right over here to let's go to Romans. Let's go to Romans right quick and take a quick look at this. Going to Romans, the fifth chapter. And I'm going to read one verse here. And Romans 5 and verse 13. And it reads, For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. So if there is no law, how can sin be uh imputed? Okay. So it's got to be a law. What law is that? The commandments, the royal law. Okay. Now, let's turn right over here to Romans, the seventh chapter. Take a look at this. Romans 7, I'm going to start reading at verse 7. And it reads, What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. So Paul said he wouldn't even know sin if it wasn't for the law. Okay. So, for I had not known lust except the law had said, Thou shalt not. So we talking commandments here, aren't we? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant. You see, we talking commandments right here. All right, verse 8. But sin, taken occasion by the commandment, was in me all manner of concupiscence, for without the law, sin was dead. So you got to have a law in order to have sin. Okay? All right, verse 12. Wherefore, listen to this. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. So we are talking about the commandments, even the royal law. Okay. Now let's go on a little bit further here. Let's go to Galatians right quick. Look at this, because there was a law added that most people don't even know about. Okay. We're gonna read about it. We're gonna read a little bit about it. Okay, but on your own, I want you to go on and read go to Hebrews 10th chapter. Start reading in verse 1. It tells you about that law. Then we're going to go and read some over in the new book. The old book today, too. Just a little bit of it. Give you a little bit of understanding on this. Okay. But right now, we're going to Galatians, the 3rd chapter. And I'm going to start reading at verse 19. And it reads, wherefore then serveth the law? It was added because of transgression, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by angels in the hand of a mediator. So this now law we're finna talk about is the law of animal sacrifice. It was a law that was added because of transgression. Okay. Verse 24, wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ that we might be justified by faith. So this law of animal sacrifice, was our schoolmaster that brought us to Christ. When Jesus came, died on the cross, that had brought us to that point, and Jesus died, and that was the ultimate sacrifice. And we're going to take a look at what happened, because that's the law that the Lord terminated. Okay, they say the Lord nailed the law to the cross when he came, and we ain't under it no more. No, he's still under that royal law, but the law that we're not under is the law of animal sacrifice. Okay, let me show you that right here. Hey, let's go back to the old book and take a quick look at this. We'll take a look at that law of animal sacrifice and see what they were doing, what it entailed. Okay, now going to Leviticus, the 4th chapter. Okay, and I'm going to start reading at verse 1, and it reads, and the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, if a soul shall sin through ignorance, they sin and be ignorant of that sin, okay, against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, and shall do against any of them, if the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring forth his sin, which he has sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. Okay. Verse 4. And he shall bring the bullock to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand on the bullock's head and kill the bullock before the Lord. Okay. And the priest that is anointed shall take of the bullock's blood and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of the sanctuary. Remember that word, veil. Okay. So whenever somebody sinned in ignorance, they had to bring up an animal, and the anointed priest, he would kill that animal, take some of the blood, go inside the tabernacle before the veil, before the Lord, and he would take and dip his finger in that blood 7 times, and he sprinkle that veil 7 times. Okay, that would absorb that person's sin. Okay, now let's go over here and take a look at it. And I told you to remember that word veil, right? So let's take a look at this. Let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew, the 27th chapter, and I'm going to start reading at verse 50. And it reads, Jesus, when he had cried, again, with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. So when Jesus on the cross, he cried with a loud voice, and he gave up the ghost. In other words, he died. Okay? 51. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So the Lord died on the cross. The veil of that temple ripped from top to bottom. So now there's no more place to sprinkle the blood. So therefore, the Lord terminated that law of animal sacrifice. Okay, that law of animal sacrifice was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ. When he came, he died on the cross, and then you can say, yeah, he nailed that law of animal sacrifice to the cross. We're no longer under that. We're now, but we are under the royal law, which is the commandments. Okay, now you break this law, them commandments. Let's take a quick look at it. Tell you something, people. You mess around, you keep sinning, breaking God's royal law. And after you done known the truth, because the Lord said, he said, I will put my laws in your heart and write them in your mind. Okay, so you know for a fact, somebody walking in front of you, they drop their wallet or their purse or something, and no, you reach down and get it, give it back to them, cool. But they drop it, you pick it up, you take the money out, throw it away, and keep going the other way. What you do? You just stole from that person, didn't you? Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Okay, you just stole from that person. You just broke that law willfully. Okay, so take a look at it. Going to Hebrews 10, I'm starting reading at verse 26, and it reads, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, laws in your mind, you know the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. The Lord is not going to let those animals die for your sin anymore. Neither is the Lord going to come down here and die for your sins anymore. Okay? Verse 27, but a certain fearful looking for judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversary. So you sin willfully? Hey, what you got to look forward to is that fiery indignation. Who's going to be the adversary? You are. And what is that fiery indignation? The lake of fire. It's all that simple. Okay. Now, throw this in here. Let's see, verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Tell you some people, you do not want to break God's law on purpose. Now, if you sin ignorantly, you commit a sin and don't realize you done it. Say, for instance, you eat something that's unclean, because we have to keep the Lord's dietary law. You eat something unclean unknowingly, and then you find out about it. You say, "Oh man." Get on your knees and you pray to the Father. Jesus, as our intercessor, will intercede, and you can be to the Father. He will intercede to the Father for us, and you can be forgiven for that. But if you sin willfully, you got yourself a problem. Okay? Now, let's take a look at this last scripture right quick. Let me show you this here. Going to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, and start reading at verse 13. And it reads, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Verse 14, for God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Okay, well, you committing all those sins now. You said, well, Lord ain't doing nothing to me. Okay. Hey, I tell you something, he got something waiting on you at the end of the line. Okay. So what is sin? Sin in the eyes of the Lord, you breaking his law, breaking his commandments. Okay. And the punishment of it is the second death, which is the lake of fire. We'll think on these scriptures and words throughout the course of the day, and this food for thought. And until next time, peace.